Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're feeling okay. We're continuing with our history of Spand, which I'm hoping to put into a book in September for people. And we've got to the millennium now. An event took place in Dublin in 1995 that was to change irrevocably the life and work of Spand in a way that could never possibly have been envisaged at the time. Believe it or not, it was the Eurovision Song Contest, a fairly dull and often over-glitzy affair. But as the interval approached, this was in the Point in Dublin, Terry Wogan uttered what would turn out to be one of the most memorable pieces of television commentary ever. Don't put on the kettle. He said that so people wouldn't go out and miss the interval entertainment. He wanted them to watch it because he had seen it. It was a piece created by some remarkable musicians, Donal Lunny and Davy Spillane, and the composer Bill Whelan. An event which introduced us to a man who in the space of 7 minutes would change the face of Irish dancing forever, Michael Flatley. It was, of course, Riverdance, which in time would be extended into a full-blown musical and toured all over the world. I remember saying to myself at the time, this man is going to make money. I could see that. And the music was so evocative. And we used some of it the following year, 1996 and 1997, when we had the Faith and Light Day in Nottingham with people miming the reading so beautifully. But this would turn out to be simply the hors d'oeuvre for something truly amazing that took place on the 16th of July 2000 in the Assembly Rooms in Derby, which became the single event that defined the work and contribution of Spand both before and afterwards, and remains to this day our finest ever achievement, the Dance of the Light. As I said before in regard to Spand and other things, sometimes things happen by chance that seem at the time a sort of complete fluke, if not certainly not a coincidence, but eventually proved to be maybe even from the good Lord himself. And so it was, towards the end of 1998, I was browsing through a record shop in Loughborough on my day off and noticed in the CD section a name, Bill Whelan, the man who wrote Riverdance. There was a CD there called The Seville Suite, which was written in 1982 for an international exhibition in Spain. And I thought to myself, well, if this is anything like Riverdance, it's got to be good, so I bought it. What a remarkable outcome that simple gesture turned out to be. The music was tremendous, equally as good as Riverdance. And it suggested, each individual piece suggested to me something that we could put together and mine. Each piece had its own language, if you like. And so we'd been thinking of what we might do in Spand for the millennium, perhaps a mass together or some big event where everybody could be involved. But that was as far as we'd got. Listening to these two CDs together gave me the idea, and thankfully everyone else went along with it. I gathered a small number of people together from the Tuesday Club in the parish centre in Mickletover and told them that I was going to teach them to dance. Looking at me and contemplating such a ridiculous idea, they were very good and never let their true feelings show. Is this man really mad or what? I persevered and asked them to hear me out, demonstrating how people with learning difficulties and physical disabilities could actually perform some movement to the different pieces of music from the two CDs, and thus present the story of our Lord's life as a dance. Most of us, of course, were rather large people, where energetic dance was not possible, but gentle steps and slow, deliberate movements ensured that what would result would be truly amazing. And we called it Elephants Dancing, a title which stuck along with the new nickname they all gave to me, and won. A number of factors also came together to ensure that this was going to be an unforgettable event. A young lady called Rachel Hughes, who was something of a dancer and helped enormously with the choreography once I'd managed to convince her that this was not just one of my other silly ideas. The remarkable voice of Peter Barlow, a trained actor and director, which would provide the backdrop to the music as we danced each scene. And two amazing young men who happened to have Down syndrome, Paul Martin and Stephen Peat, who played the part of God and Jesus respectively with the most brilliant and sensitive skill. We practiced for 9 months in our groups and in Llandudno at Easter and came together only twice before the day in the car park at Michelova and a school playground in Scunthorpe. We hired the largest venue in Derby, the Assembly Rooms, got a grant from the Millennium Arts Council to pay for it, managed to get the music edited and placed on a CD, provided costumes of simple black T-shirts plus 1 or 2 other colours, stole some for the Pharisees in blue and gold, red and purple streamers for the Pentecost and Passion dances, and light sticks, of course, which were originally, in fact, Star Wars lollipops with a light inside, from which Madeline Bridges kindly and patiently removed every lollipop, and Keith Morehouse made the clips to hold the switches on. In the end, 169 people descended on the Assembly Rooms on July the 16th, and after one rehearsal with the technicians there, produced the following, an extract of which we will now show you. Here is the story of God making the world and then being rejected by his own people. What is most remarkable to me is that the agony on the face of Paul Martin as God is rejected was not anything I taught him myself. It came straight from his heart and his own mind.
From the very beginning, from the dawn of time, human beings have been longing and searching for light. Light to take away the darkness of fear, of anxiety, of wickedness, of sin. Light to show the way, to give hope and purpose to their lives, to fill them with warmth, comfort and confidence. This is what we have heard from him, and the message we are announcing to you. God is light. There is no darkness in him at all. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light," and there was. God said, "Let there be a person, persons, people for me to share my life with, share my love with." So God made man in the image of himself. God saw what he had made, and it was very good. God promised, all I have will be yours. You can share your life with me if you promise me your love and devotion. But it was not enough. The promise was broken time and time and time again. In a history of disobedience and ingratitude, a catalogue of pride, selfishness and sin, too long and painful to recall. Man turned away from God and rejected him. But God is God. He does not work like us. He does not think like us. He does not love like us. And his response to this continual rejection, to give more and more of himself, more and more chances to turn back and be reconciled, so that it could be as it was in the beginning. But still they turned away. In the end, there was nothing left to give. Only one more thing. The most precious gift of all, the gift of his own self, his own person, his own son.
As I'm sure you will agree, the power of this presentation still persists after over 20 years. The audience cheered and clapped for 10 minutes at the end of what proved to be the most joyous occasion in the whole history of Spand. The cast were delirious with happiness and so proud of themselves, and priests and peoples came out in tears because they had never seen anything like this before. And to mark the occasion, I wrote the following poem, which was included in the event programme. The elephant is large, cumbersome, leaden, heavy-footed, too enormous to be nimble, not willingly mobile, difficult to persuade into activity, save at the promptings of skilled circus trainers, cajoling, bribing him into doing tricks, thus losing his dignity as the noble beast he once was, at the behest of pecuniary gain and for the amusement of the masses. It has crossed my mind from time to time that we are rather elephantine ourselves, unmovable, inflexible, unadaptable to change except when we need to be or really want to be, heavy-footed in our dealings with each other, lacking lightness in touch or sensitivity, too direct, relentless in the pursuit of our goals, and unthinking of what the fulfillment of this ambition may do to others. But when the light comes, as promised, a light so powerful and bright that it can transform, renew, invigorate, enliven and excite even willfully reluctant souls, and stir simultaneously the joints and spirit. A light from him who was at the beginning and who forever will remain. A light once perceived, understood, and embraced. Then, undreamed of things can happen, and what was previously confined to mere imagination can actually come to be. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, the ears of the deaf unsealed. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongues of the dumb sing for joy. And the elephants will dance. Since that wonderful night, we've done many things that we are proud of, and some of which I'll tell you about next week or two. But nothing will ever surpass the magic of that incredible presentation and the response to it. The memory of it and the joy of it will live with me forever.